text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Monday. So I came across this at recent was 34 little life skills everyone needs to be a grown-up. Okay, now my fiance calls me a 50 teen. I've been a 40 teen, a 30 teen. No, there's some times during my daily life that I may not seem the most mature in the way I approach situations. I own it. I know that about myself. And I would suspect if other people owned that, they would say the same things. But these are things that you're going to be adulting. You need to have mastered this set of skills. The first one is something I know how to do, but it's difficult to do, not because it's hard, but because in the real world, it's very hard to, just like governments have a very difficult time doing it, individuals have a very difficult time doing it, and that's balance a budget. Now, the old advice used to be everyone needed to know how to balance their checkbook. I mean, I remember I took an economics class in high school, taught us how to fill out our tax forms, taught us how to balance a checkbook. Well, those have gone by the way of the, extinct animals on Earth, I would guess, because nobody has maybe you have a check registry. I don't use a check registry. I have it all online. So I can pull it up on my phone, know exactly where I am, know what I have out, because I'll see what's come in. So no. So check 1146 is still not come in. So you got to deduct that out of what it says your total is. But that's your balance of your checkbook. But you need a budget. But people try to make budgets and they don't stick with them. Well, it's because it's hard. Life gets in the way. You never, and one of the things you never budget the most for is in our budget every month we have $300 maintenance, car maintenance. Well, it's always more than $300, but it's not every month. So hopefully you go 6-7 months without any car maintenance, you got $1,800 saved up, and then if you have an emergency, you can get it taken care of. But balancing a budget is what Reader's Digest says is the number one of the 34 little life skills everyone needs to know to be grown up. You need to know how to say no. And you need to be able to do it without excuses or white lies. You need to be able to say, nope, this is not going to work for me, and here's why. Because I don't have the wherewithal to accomplish that. Don't give an excuse. It's not going to work for me because, I don't have that day off, and it's just it's hot that day. That's excuses. Know how to say no. Don't say, I need to think about it. That people say, well, that'll give you time to think it through. Yeah, but that just prolongs the obvious. Learn to say no. I find that the place to get the best practice at this, and we have it right here in our backyard, is any timeshare meeting you go to in the Orlando area. It's a really good way to work on your saying no skills. Number 3 on the list, I don't get this. Know how to boil an egg. Who the hell doesn't know how to boil an egg? You put it in there, you boil it, you take it out, you put it in a spoon, you blow on it. If the shell dries immediately when you blow on it, the egg's ready to eat. That easy. Boil an egg, folks. You'll be an adult. This is one that a lot of people don't know how to deal with, and I could care less. Accept criticism. You did something wrong. Congratulations, you're human. We all do something wrong. But a lot of times we treat mistakes as personal failures. And then that gets you upset, and then you when others try to offer criticism about something you've already screwed up, you get angry. I tell you, I get criticized on a daily basis on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook by people who listen to this radio show. Now, I have a friend of mine who is a very, very well-paid analyst at a place up in Connecticut who is a chronic reader of his criticism on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and it eats him from the inside out. I've tried to numerous times to say, bro, you got to let that go. You can't get angry just because somebody has an opinion. Opinions are like, well, you know the saying. You can't let, anytime somebody sends me something, I respond back to them, and the last thing I say is thank you for listening to Ocala Talks. Because criticism's coming. It's inevitable. Everybody wants to criticize. Here's one that I know how to do. I'm proud to say I know how to do. Sew on a button. Know how to put a button on it. It's a pain in the neck to do, but I know how to do it. But know how to sew on a button. Here's a big one as an adult. Understand the consequences of what you do. Want to party but not wake up with a hangover? Stuff yourself with cake but not gain weight? Take off every Friday but still have a job on Monday? Speed but never get a ticket? It's not going to happen, folks. It's not the way the world works. Now, everybody knows this technically, and yet people get mad and on an emotional level and act like they don't understand when they get caught for something. Understand that every action has consequences, and be prepared for those consequences or don't do the action. Now, here's one I have to be honest with you. I know the premise of how to do it, but I've never actually done it. Matter of fact, the last time I had this situation, a friend of mine, Craig, actually come and did it for me. And that's change a tire. I mean, I know the premise of how to do it. I know what goes into it. I also know I don't have the patience or the wherewithal or the mechanical inclination to do it without, beating the side of my car with a tire iron. That's why I have AAA. Learn how to have face-to-face conversations. That's a lost art these days. With your phone and texting and everything, people don't have face-to-face communication anymore. And if you look somebody in the eye, you can tell what's going on with them. It gives you a strong read and sense of what's going on with the relationship and what's going on with this situation that you're having to talk about. So go have conversations and look people in the eye. Have face-to-face conversations. Stop with all the, I'll send you a private message. I message you. Every now and then go have a face-to-face. Here's one I do not know how to do, but I don't have to know how to do it because I've never had children. Change a diaper. I have no idea what even goes into changing a diaper. But I don't have to do it and have never had to do it, so I'm okay with that. Use your oven. A lot of people, I know how to cook, but they don't use the oven is underutilized. Matter of fact, we used the oven for 2.5 hours last night as we heated up a spiral ham we got from the grocery store. It's just the oven offers you another way to cook that is not the traditional pot on top of the stove or, the slow cooker. One of the best ways that I know to cook fish is you take fish and you put it in a piece of tinfoil with a couple slabs of butter and some onions and a little olive oil, a little lemon squeeze. Then you close the tinfoil up and you put it in the oven on 350 to 375 for about 25 minutes. You'll have perfect fish because you use the oven. Now, this one, I don't understand how anybody can be an adult and not know how to do this. Even though Chris Rock alluded to it in his stand-up some 15 years ago. He goes, I hate the guy that comes in and bangs his chest and goes, I pay my light bill. You're supposed to pay your light bill. Well, that's what this category is. Pay your bills. It's Adulting 101. But, I mean, you got to and here's what they say it's not as easy as that, though. Read through the bill. Make sure it's correct. Make sure you have sufficient funds in there to pay the bill. Ensure you're paying it in a timely fashion. Make sure they get the payment and applied it correctly to your account. That's a big deal. Follow up with them. Make sure that they actually received the payment and put it in the right place. Here's one that I know how to do. I just loathe doing it, and my wonderful fiance, who also hates doing it, still does it. And that's laundry. I know how to do laundry. I just don't do it the way that's accepted by most people. I throw everything of color, no matter what color it is, throw it all in there together on a cold wash. And I wash cold, rinse cold. That way you don't have to worry about the colors running. You still get a clean clothes. And, you throw them in the dryer till they're dry. And then you take the big bundle out of the dryer and go throw it in the chair in the corner of your bedroom and pull the clothes out of that pile as needed because they're clean. And go put them in the dryer and run them through the wrinkle cycle in the dryer. And there you go. I have a feeling that's not how most people do laundry, but that's how I do laundry. Understand the lease agreement. This was a big one. I learned the hard way. I didn't fully read a lease agreement that I signed when I was 21 years old and got evicted from an apartment and didn't have any place else to go. Had to sleep on some friends' couches and stuff for a while until an apartment came open because I was subleasing this apartment. And so I just read the sublease little lease between me and the person I was subleasing with. I didn't read the other agreement that no dogs over 20 pounds. So I brought my big dog with me, and I got evicted, and the person who had subleased to me got evicted. All because I didn't understand the lease agreement. Show empathy to people. Show that you understand walking a mile in their shoes. That goes a long way in people having an adult thought about you instead of a childish thought about you, is learn to show empathy. Here's one that is difficult for me to do, and it's difficult for me to do not because I'm not an adult. It's difficult for me to do because of ADHD, and that's finish a project. I can start a bunch of projects, but finishing them, tough, brother, tough. But you got to do that if you're going to be an adult. Do your own taxes. Nope, not going to do it. The adult in me says, my taxes are complex enough, take them to a professional. I used to do, when I was a 1040 EZ, I could do my own taxes. Not anymore, so can't just take them to the accountants what I do now. This is something that Susan and I share. Usually Monday and Wednesdays are my night, but tonight I have the Marion County Historical Commission meeting. But that's cook a meal. And spaghetti does count, guys. If that's your go-to, spaghetti, it counts as a meal. So if your wife's giving you a tough time, I did cook. Now you just cook spaghetti. Spaghetti's a meal. It counts. So does chicken and rice. What doesn't count? Making a cold cup sandwich for your wife or your significant other, or popping in a frozen pizza or some Totino rolls. That's not really cooking a meal. But I understand why you do it. But learn to cook a meal. This is something we talked about with Galen earlier today. I hadn't done this since 1996. Learn to write a resume. And now with Word the way it is and everything, it can help you, give you a template of a resume where you just drag and drop your information in, replacing the filler information they have in there. So it's really a lot easier to write a resume now. I did this just Friday afternoon, shop for groceries. I went to a local grocery store and shopped for groceries. It was painless, although they've rearranged the grocery store that I went into. I used to go to that grocery store a lot. Now, I hadn't been there in a while. They rearranged some things. I was like, well, where is everything? Now, here's one that, as a child, I got a couple pops for, but you learn. Have good table manners. Elbows off the table. Don't slurp your drinks. Chew with your mouth closed. Know that a fork is for salad and entree, not a spoon. Don't eat with your fingers. Don't slurp your soup. Serve food from communal dishes to your plate, not to your mouth. You'd be amazed how many people will, like a communal dish, will eat right from the dish. It's ridiculous. Navigating public transit. This is a difficult task, especially if you're in a city where you're not used to the where's where and what's what. It took me about a week to learn how to navigate the L in Chicago when I was living up there. Now, the MARTA train, I got no problem with in Atlanta, but that's because I've been using it since I was a teenager. The New York City subway, I don't know whether it's the 7 train, the A train, the C train, the 12, I don't know. I don't know which ways any of them go, what to do. So you have to navigate public transit, and you have to make yourself aware of it when you go out of town. Here's one that you're never going to get me to do. Learn how to brew that perfect pot of coffee. Coffee sucks. I'm not drinking it. I have deep-rooted reasons that I don't like coffee that I'm not going to go into here, but coffee's never going to make a pot of coffee because not my gig. Show that you can delegate. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Show that you don't micromanage, that you can actually delegate. That's a huge life skill, to be able to delegate. You got a project to go well. Well, don't micromanage it. Trust your team and delegate. And you'll probably do better than if you micromanage. Deep clean a bathroom. Yeah, guess I'm going to be a child then for the rest of my life. Because that's getting on the floor, scrubbing a tile and everything. Forget about it. Load the dishwasher. I do that all the time. Susan and I are in very good habits. We load the dishwasher as soon as we get done eating dinner. The plates are rinsed, the cups and whatever we use for utensils are rinsed, and they go right into the dishwasher. I'm even programmed to ask Susan, clean or dirty? She'll say dirty or clean, and then I act accordingly. So I do that. Does anybody, this next one, I'm like, does anybody really understand your health insurance policy? Does anybody really understand their health insurance policy? I mean, really? You could tell me if you understand it well enough where you know everything about your health policy. In this day and age where when it says click this box to say you understand, we don't read a dadgum thing. We just click the box. But understand your health. This is one that 10 years from now will be obsolete. To be an adult, you have to know how to drive a stick shift. Learning how to drive a clutch can save you if you have to borrow a friend's car in a pinch, or if you happen to just end up with a BMW M5 on your hands. Driving a stick shift, that's how I learned to drive. And it was invaluable learning how to drive that way. Open a savings account. I have one. I've had one for the better part of 2 years now. Somebody told me I needed to open a savings account. I go, yeah, it's about time. So at 52, I opened my first savings account that my parents didn't know. My parents had opened a savings account for me when I was a little kid that I got when I was 18, and I think there was a grand total of like $1,600 in there, and I spent it almost immediately because I was an 18-year-old brat that didn't know better. But open a savings account. No basic first aid. That's just in general. That's a good rule. We're talking about the life skills everyone should know before you can be considered an adult. I love when people call me when I'm on the radio, like they don't know I'm on the radio. You know what I mean? It just, people do. They know I'm on the radio and they call my house anyway. Write a thank you note. This is a lost art. In our tech-obsessed culture, people don't write thank you notes a whole lot, but a lot of people will really appreciate a handwritten thank you note. So, take time. Thank you notes aren't that day. I mean, watch Jimmy Fallon. He does thank you notes every Friday night. But you don't know how far just dropping a line to somebody will go. People will go, oh, that was very nice of you. I have people say, that was very nice of you, the thank you card you sent me. You didn't need to, but I really appreciated that you sent me a thank you card. It goes a long way in bridging the gap with people. Just something like a lineup card. I mean, a thank you card. Lineup card. I'm thinking about baseball already. but a thank you card. So I don't know if all those were on your list, but those were the list Reader's Digest came up with. Reader's Digest called it 34 Little Life Skills Everyone Needs to Know to Be a Grown-Up. Some of them I agreed with. Some of them a little sketchy. But, none of them out of the ordinary. Today in birthdays, Bill Cosby, the infamous Bill Cosby, now the disgraced Bill Cosby, he turns 84 today. Christine McVie of Fleetwood Mac is 78. Richard Simmons of exercise fame in the 80s, he is 73 today. Cheryl Ladd, who took Farrah Fawcett's place in Charlie's Angels, she is 70 today. Wrestler Brock Lesnar, 44 today. Topher Grace, who played in the 70s show, he's 43 today. Rachel Brosnahan, she's in The Marvelous Miss Maisel. If you haven't seen The Marvelous Miss Maisel, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is a fantastic show and just a hilarious show. She is 31 today. We talked earlier today about a survey saying that doing household chores is a far better way to woo women than giving chocolate or flowers or taking them on a romantic dinner or vacation. Hogwash. Lies. Hey, honey, what you rather have me do? Vacuum the rug in the kitchen, vacuum the rug in the living room, or a 5-day, 4-night cruise to the Bahamas? Yeah, I don't want that romantic cruise. Just vacuum the floor. Hogwash. Hey, honey, I got this planned trip to Savannah where we can stay in a very nice bed and breakfast overlooking the Savannah River, have candlelight dinners every night. I can either do that for us or I could clean the toilets in the guest bathroom. Yeah, who cares about Savannah? Clean the toilets. Hogwash. And if women wanted you to vacuum more than buy them flowers, they wouldn't sell flowers at every convenience store, at every CVS, Walgreens, every grocery store. Hogwash. First off, if you're not used to doing the chore that you're going to fill in to do, you're probably going to not do it properly anyway, and that's going to aggravate her. She's going to say something like, well, I appreciate the effort, honey. I'll get it from here, which is the equivalent of fine. Yeah, whatever. Don't fall for it, guys. Hogwash. And lastly, before we go, I want to tell you about a soccer match in New Zealand that was stopped. It was disrupted. When a sea lion walked out onto the pitch. Seymour and Clyde, they're on vacation at SeaWorld. They're not, shows closed at SeaWorld right now for renovation, so they're probably gallivanting the world. Seymour and Clyde got a little upset. They wanted to be out on the soccer pitch. I mean, what do you do there? Here this sea lion comes waddling out on its fins out of the soccer pitch. How close must that soccer pitch have been to like a rocky beach area where sea lions hang out? Are sea lions just walking the streets of Melbourne or Sydney? Doop-de-doo, doop-de-doo. Ooh, soccer game. Think I'll go in here. Or is that Seymour or Clyde, the mime, got him out of the attraction at SeaWorld, just kept them walking. They've somehow ended up in Australia. You never know. Coming up next is the American Moms, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source.
broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport. This is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Some ways to squeeze a garden onto your small deck or patio. That's coming up on This Land of Ours.
Thousands of Cubans marched in Havana and elsewhere on the island Sunday to protest food shortages and high prices amid the coronavirus crisis in one of the biggest anti-government demonstrations in memory.
We are here for the repression because they are killing us with hunger. The houses are falling and we have no homes. They have the money to build hotels while letting us go hungry.
Some of the most high-profile people in media, finance, and technology descended on Idaho's resort town of Sun Valley in private jets last week to address climate change. There were so many private planes, the FAA reported it briefly held planes on the ground at their departure airports to avoid congestion in the airspace around Sun Valley. The private conference is a summer camp for billionaires taking place since 1983. Notable attendees this year included Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, and Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. USA.